Hello. Today we're going to be looking at a text that's maybe a little bit unusual for advised class, but I thought it would be appropriate given that it's Black History Month for one, and given that poets.org is a fantastic site and is definitely worth some attention if you're interested. There's lots of things that you can search up here, as you can see. All right, so today we're going to take a look at Langston Hughes. We're just going to read the first two paragraphs here from his biography. And as I read this aloud, I just want you to think, what are some of the key moments in his life, or what are some of the key details that this brief biography shares with me that may have influenced his poetry or his writing? Okay? All right. So here we go. He was born in 1901 and he lived to 1967. That's my dog, sorry. James Mercer Langston Hughes was born on February 1st, 1901 in Joplin, Missouri. Hughes' birth year was revised from 1902 to 1901 after new research from 2018 uncovered that he had been born a year earlier. His parents divorced when he was a young child, and his father moved to Mexico. He was raised by his grandmother until he was 13, when he moved to Lincoln, Illinois to live with his mother and her husband, before the family eventually settled in Cleveland, Ohio. It was in Lincoln that Hughes began writing poetry. After graduating from high school, he spent a year in Mexico, followed by a year at Columbia University in New York City. During this time, he worked as an assistant cook, launderer, and busboy. He also traveled to Africa and Europe working as a seaman. In November 1924, he moved to Washington, D.C. Hughes' first book of poetry, The Weary Blues, published in 1926, was published by Alfred A. Knopf in 1926 with an introduction by Harlem Renaissance arts patron Carl Van Vechten. Criticism of the book from the time varied, with some praising the arrival of a significant new voice in poetry, while others dismissed Hughes' debut collection. He finished his college education at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania 3 years later. In 1930, do you mind? His first novel, Not Without Laughter, won the Harmon Gold Medal for Literature. Hughes, who claimed Paul Laurence Dunbar, Carl Sandburg, and Walt Whitman as his primary influences, is particularly known for his insightful portrayals of Black life in America from the 20s through the 60s. He wrote novels, short stories, plays, and poetry, and is also known for his engagement with the world of jazz and the influence it had on his writing, as in his book-length poem, Montage of a Dream Deferred. His life and work were enormously important in shaping the artistic contributions of the Harlem Renaissance of the 1920s. Unlike other notable Black poets of the period, such as Claude McKay, Jean Toomer, and Countee Cullen, Hughes refused to differentiate between his personal experience and the common experience of Black America. He wanted to tell the stories of his people in ways that reflected their actual culture, including their love of music, laughter, and a language itself alongside their suffering. So that's where we're going to pause here on the biography. So think about, what did you hear in this that as we read two of his poems, you can see the connections, okay? All right, so let's switch over. We're going to take a look at two. Both of them are pretty short, but they definitely have some punch to them. So this first one is called Dreams. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. So you might think, how would you describe if a dream is lost? What metaphors would you use to describe what that feels like? He's using, it's a barren field frozen with snow. That's what life is like without dreams, right? Ooh. Or it's like a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. All right, so think about, how would you describe that? Okay? Next poem that we're going to take a quick look at is, we are going to look at, and you can see there's tons, right? He's an amazing writer, was prolific to no end. I think it's on the first page. Okay. We are going to look at mother to son. Okay. Think about what advice is it that your parent or guardian might give you, like big time life advice. What is something that they tell you that you hold on to? Okay, mother to son. Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it, and splinters, and boards torn up, and places with no carpet on the floor. Bare. But all the time, I's been a-climbin' on, and reachin' landin's, and turnin' corners, and sometimes goin' in the dark where there ain't been no light. So, boy, don't you turn back. Don't you set down on the steps 'cause you finds it's kinder hard. Don't you fall now, for I's still goin', honey. I's still climbin', and life for me ain't been no crystal stair. So, think about what is she telling him her life has been like, and what are her hopes and dreams for him. All right? What do your parents or guardians wish for you? What's the advice that they're trying to impart to you? All right, so that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed that. And if you're interested in searching up some great poetry, Poetry Foundation and poets.org. Some good stuff out there. You can also subscribe to their poem a day if you're interested.